I'm always a little skeptical when I see a guitar that looks like it's trying to give you the full-size Dreadnought vibe without the price tag of a high-end boutique model. A lot of the budget-friendly options on the market promise that big sound but end up sounding thin, or the electronics feel like an afterthought that just adds weight. That's why I paused before I even picked up the Martin D16E. I wanted to know if it was the smarter purchase or just another pretty-looking disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about what makes the D16E different from the typical entry-level acoustic-electric you might find at a big-box store. The core of any acoustic guitar is the wood, and Martin has paired a spruce top with mahogany back and sides. Spruce gives you that bright, articulate attack you need for strumming or flat picking, while mahogany adds a warm mid-range that fills out chords. In practice, I found that the combination gives a balanced tone that holds up whether you're playing a folk ballad in a coffee shop or a louder bluegrass set at a family gathering. It's not a razor-sharp, studio-grade instrument, but it's far from the fine anatomy you sometimes get from laminated wood guitars. The Dreadnought body shape is another big factor. Most beginners gravitate toward a smaller concert or 000 size because it feels more comfortable, but those guitars can lack the low-end punch that a full-size Dreadnought provides. The D16E keeps the traditional Dreadnought footprint but reduces the depth to 000 dimensions. That means you still get the projection and bass response of a larger body without the bulk that can make the instrument feel unwieldy on stage. I tried it in a cramped rehearsal room and the sound still cut through a small drum kit and a couple of amps without needing a microphone boost. For players who want a portable yet resonant guitar, that compromise is worth noting. Now, the electronics. Martin's E1 system is a simple piezo pickup with a built-in preamp and a volume knob on the side. It's not a high-tech multiband EQ, but the simplicity is actually a plus for many gigging musicians. When I plugged the D16E into a PA system at a local open mic, the signal was clean, and the volume knob gave me enough control to keep feedback at bay. The real test is when you're playing with a full band and you need the guitar to sit in the mix. I found that the E1 works well for acoustic-driven songs but can struggle a bit with heavily distorted electric guitars sharing the stage. The piezo can sound a little harsh if you crank the amp too much. If you need a more sophisticated tone-shaping tool, you'd probably want to add an external pedal or go for a model with a built-in EQ. Who should consider the D16E? If you're a folk or singer-songwriter who already owns a solid body or a basic acoustic and you're looking for a reliable, stage-ready instrument that can be plugged in quickly, this guitar checks the boxes. Its mahogany body gives a pleasing warmth for fingerpicking, and the reduced depth makes it easier to hold while you're standing for an entire set. It also works well for teachers who need a sturdy, reasonably priced instrument that won't break down after a semester of student use. The price point sits below most of Martin's all-solid series, so you get a piece of the brand's craftsmanship without the premium cost. On the flip side, skip this model if you're after a high-output, modern acoustic-electric with a lot of built-in tonal control, or if you play styles that demand a lot of low-frequency response, such as slap-style bass lines on an acoustic or aggressive percussive playing. The mahogany back adds warmth but can also mute some of the crisp snap you might expect from a spruce back guitar, which is something that traditional bluegrass players sometimes notice. Also, if you're a gigging professional who needs a guitar that can handle daily touring wear, you might want to invest in a model with a reinforced truss rod or a more robust finish. The D16E's finish is beautiful but not as thick as the higher-priced Martin Touring series. Let's talk about the day-to-day usability. I've taken the D16E on a week-long road trip, tossing it in a gig bag and moving it from a cramped Airbnb to a small club stage. The neck felt smooth enough for a quick change of chords, and the action stayed stable even after a few days of temperature swings. The only practical downside I noticed was that the side volume knob can be a little fiddly when you're wearing a thick sweater. You have to turn it with a bit more force than you might prefer. It's a minor inconvenience, but something to keep in mind if you often play in colder climates where gloves or bulky sleeves are common. Another hidden trade-off is the resale value. Martin guitars generally hold their value better than most brands, But because the D16E is an entry-level model, it doesn't appreciate like a limited edition or a higher grade series.